Federal agents say that they have dismantled a major drug and gun trafficking network operating across Western Washington.
America, we just witnessed the takedown of one of the most sophisticated criminal operations in Washington state history. Federal agents arrested 10 members of a transnational drug and gun trafficking organization that moved $89 million in narcotics while stockpiling an arsenal of 34 firearms, including high-powered assault rifles. But here's what's really disturbing. While this massive operation was flooding communities with fentanyl and other weapons, other criminals were exploiting homeless and drug-addicted residents in Seattle's Chinatown for EBT fraud schemes. This is organized crime at every level.
Agents seized fentanyl pills by the tens of thousands and guns by the dozens.
The U.S. Attorney's Office in Seattle is making details of this secret year-long operation public.
What is up, guys? Tyson DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This story perfectly exposes how transnational criminal organizations are destroying American communities while local criminals prey on the most vulnerable people in our society. Let me break down what federal agents discovered in this year-long investigation. We're talking about a heavily armed transnational criminal organization that was operating from Lewis County all the way up to Snohomish County, moving massive quantities of fentanyl, cocaine, methamphetamine, and heroin. This wasn't just street-level dealing. This was an industrial-scale operation. The centerpiece of this criminal enterprise was a stash house property in Washington linked to José Isabel Sandoval Zuniga, a 30-year-old from Snohomish. When federal agents raided this location, what they found was absolutely staggering. According to the Justice Department press release, this largely undeveloped property contained 25 kilograms of suspected fentanyl powder, more than 90,000 fentanyl pills, and 24 firearms. That's enough fentanyl to kill millions of Americans stored in what looked like an innocent rural property. But this operation was even bigger than one location. When Zuniga was arrested in his vehicle, agents found an additional 1.6 kilograms of suspected fentanyl. At his home, they seized heroin, more fentanyl, and a loaded .45 caliber semi-automatic pistol. In just the arrest operation alone, law enforcement seized 34 firearms. And we're not talking about hunting rifles. We're talking about high-powered assault-style weapons that could outfit a small army. The total drug seizure from this operation included approximately 100,000 fentanyl pills, 34 kilograms of fentanyl powder, 3.7 kilograms of methamphetamine, nearly a kilogram of heroin, and 8.7 kilograms of cocaine. They also seized $40,000 in cash. Think about those numbers for a second. 100,000 fentanyl pills. That's enough to supply every drug dealer in a major city for months. And 34 kilograms of fentanyl powder, that's industrial scale production and distribution.
It's a big number. They say all of this is linked to a suspect named José Sandoval Zuniga, who lists a Sammamish address. They say Zuniga was arrested in his vehicle with a kilo and a half more of suspected fentanyl, and they found more drugs and a gun at his home.
U.S. Attorney Charles Neal Floyd said it perfectly. These defendants were trafficking fentanyl, cocaine, methamphetamine, and heroin on the streets of Western Washington. These drugs take a heavy toll on our community. Worse, yet this group trafficked dozens of firearms, some of them high-powered assault-style weapons. DEA Special Agent in Charge David F. Reames called this a heavily armed transnational criminal organization that threatened all of Western Washington by trafficking guns and fentanyl from Lewis County. But while federal agents were taking down this massive drug operation, Seattle police uncovered another disgusting criminal scheme. Criminals exploiting homeless and drug addict residents in Chinatown's International District for EBT fraud.
Well, Seattle police have arrested 11 suspects in connection with a fraudulent crime ring based in the Chinatown International District. And they tell us they are still on the hunt for at least 7 more. Detectives say that this week's arrests come after a months-long investigation.
These criminals were paying cash for people's EBT cards, then using those cards to buy food and furniture from stores, only to sell them back for cash.
In many cases, the suspects were said to be working with store owners, some of whom were also arrested.
This wasn't just individual crimes. This was an organized network that included store owners who were complicit in this fraud. fraud. They were systematically exploiting people who were already struggling with homelessness and addiction, taking away their food assistance and then converting it into cash for their own profit. Let's talk about who these criminals are really hurting. The EBT fraud victims were described as vulnerable adults, homeless people and drug addicts who were selling their food assistance cards to buy more drugs.
Well, a lot of times these victims are the vulnerable adults, like I said, the people that are getting these cards for food, and they would sell the cards and then get the money and go buy drugs sometimes.
Despite being victims, we are told that the people who sold their EBT cards could potentially be disqualified from receiving those benefits in the future.
So these criminals were exploiting people's addictions for profit from taxpayer-funded benefits. The homeless and the addicted individuals were selling their food cards to buy drugs, and the criminals were making money by converting those benefits into cash through fraudulent purchases. But the community impact goes beyond just the fraud. In Tacoma, business owners are raising alarms about safety and crime re-established homeless camps that are supposed to be monitored by the city.
From her coffee shop just down the block, Carrie Quintana wonders when the city will follow through on its claims of helping the homeless at the nearby I-705 overpass.
And now they're back, but the resources still don't seem to be there. And we were told they wouldn't be back. We were told that the city was going to watch for them.
The city of Tacoma cleared out an encampment earlier in September and promised to patrol the area weekly. But now tents are back, along with drugs, fires, and fear of violence. Business owners are seeing the same problem that drove customers away and made employees afraid to walk to their cars. What we're seeing in Washington state is a perfect example of how criminal organizations exploit every weakness in our system. We have transnational drug traffickers moving $89 million in narcotics and stockpiling assault weapons. You have criminals exploiting homeless people for EBT fraud, and you have cities that can't even maintain basic order around homeless encampments.
The tents and makeshift shelters sprawl out under and around that overpass, and so too do the problems caused by the people living there.
They are doing fires anywhere, everywhere in front of the businesses, in the parking lots, and there's garbage everywhere.
The business owners in Tacoma are describing exactly what happens when local government fails to maintain order. Open fires in parking lots, garbage everywhere, obvious drug transactions, and the threat of violence. One business owner said people came at them with machetes when they tried to document the problems. Machetes.
And they got mad because we took pictures and came over with a machete and stuff.
This drug trafficking operation was part of Operation Take Back America, a nationwide initiative to eliminate cartels and transnational criminal organizations. The investigation involved multiple agencies. We're talking about the DEA, Seattle Police, IRS Criminal Investigation, and tactical teams across the region.
I can remember walking through and seeing cars driving up, obvious exchanges, people driving out.
Even more concerning is the potential for violence.
The connections between all these crimes is clear. When you don't maintain order, criminals move in to exploit every opportunity. Drug traffickers flooding communities with fentanyl, fraudsters exploiting vulnerable people for government benefits, and violent criminals threatening business owners who try to document the problems. America, what we're seeing in Washington state is organized crime at every level. You have transnational criminal organizations moving $89 million in drugs and stockpiling assault weapons. You have criminals exploiting homeless and addicted people for EBT fraud. And you have a local government that can't even maintain basic order around homeless encampments. The federal takedown of this drug trafficking operation shows what happens when you have serious law enforcement with resources and authority to take on transnational criminal organizations. 10 arrests, $89 million in drugs seized, 34 firearms confiscated. That is real results. But the EBT fraud ring and the Tacoma homeless camp problems show what happens when local authorities fail to maintain order. Criminals move in to exploit every weakness, whether it's vulnerable people or failed city policies. This is why we need Operation Take Back America at every level. Federal agents taking down major criminal organizations and local authorities maintaining basic order in our communities. When we fail to do either, criminals win and law-abiding citizens suffer. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comments section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.